Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Weekend Winners in association with BetVictor. And I feel like I say it every single weekend, but it is yet another huge weekend of horse racing. Of course, the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar is taking centre stage on Saturday evening, all races live on Sky Sports Racing. As well as that, we welcome the return of the jumps at Ascot. Now, to help me preview all of these races, suited and booted yet again, as per Declan Rix and Sam Boswell. Sam, how are you?
Very well. Busy week, a lot going on. My pumpkin made an appearance on Sky Sports Racing.
I saw this clip, actually.
Hope that's not a euphemism.
Certainly isn't, Jack, you pleased to know. Yeah, we've had loads going on, haven't we? Obviously, last week's show, fantastic stuff. Very pleased to get another nap in the bag, which is good.
Nicely done.
But, Dec, let's be honest, there was one big winner last week, and you put up a winner as well. The same as me, Harry Derham's horse at Cheltenham.
Give me 5, yeah.
Yeah, you took on the even money favourite, but shorter.
Kate, I got to give Connections the trophy. Big well done to Max Vega, winning at Newbury. I think went off 22-1. Huge price.
I should have had him as a long shot, but he wasn't that big a price when we talked about him on the Friday, so I thought, I can't really have him as a long shot for it. Goes off at 22 and goes and wins. Loves Newbury, loves soft ground, so over the moon. But well done to you two for taking on the short price favourite at Cheltenham and coming to the fore there with your own selection. Right, we've got loads to crack on with. So, of course, as ever, a reminder to please do gamble responsibly. Our tips are not guaranteed to win, but we will still do our best to point you in the right direction. Right, we're going to begin at Del Mar with the 941, the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Classic for the 3-year-olds and over 10 furlongs. Now, Sam, you have a new customer offer as well at BetVictor.
We do, Kate. A big weekend of racing deserves a big offer. And if you like City of Troy, I think this offer is going to be for you. We've seen loads of money anti-post for this horse. Everyone, it feels like, in the UK and Ireland are keen to be with him. So why not boost him for new customers to 66-1 to win the Breeders' Cup Classic. Looking forward to seeing how he gets on. Like I say, if you want to take advantage of that, just use the link in the YouTube description if you're watching this now, or head to the fantastic microsite that we're sponsoring on at theraces.com. You'll be able to find it on there as well. But yeah, let's dissect.
I hope you visited the At the Races Breeders' Cup microsite. It is, like, I'm obviously biased, but it is quality.
It is.
The amount of content on there is outrageous. Look, I know we're jump space in this part of the world, but it is definitely one of the best sites we do all year. So if you haven't gone to attheraces.com/ I was going to say BetVictor. Breeders' Cup.
An extra plug.
Yeah, make sure you check it out. And it is sponsored by BetVictor, but there's stable tours with all the top trainers, American trainers, stats guides, runner profiles, everything. It's a brilliant resource. And, of course, it's all free.
Todd Pletcher's is my favourite one, I think, that I've looked through for the stable tours. And that offer got a really good reaction from the gallery as well, you'll be pleased to hear. So we've got a few sign-ups straight away there. But, Dec, in terms of City of Troy then, we've just seen the price that's been boosted with BetVictor. But as a generic price, would you back him to win?
Look, you kicked off the show, didn't you, with responsible gambling. I think you will get better 7-4 shots nearly every single day of the week. There's just too many question marks for me. I don't think in terms of ability there's any doubt he's good enough, but, you know, just physically and mentally, is he equipped to dealing with what he's going to face here? I think there has to be question marks. Physically, he doesn't look like a dirt horse to me. You know, he's not small, but a lot of those dirt horses are big, robust. They look like Chase or some of them.
Yeah.
You know, he's quite well proportioned and, you know, maybe little bit light compared to those. And then how he moves. Does he move like a dirt horse? For me, not really. Like, I loved him at York. He just flowed across that fast ground, really stretching. The further he went, the better he looked. But I just think whatever way you cut it, from pedigree to physicality to mentally, you know, how is he going to adapt? You know, when the gates open, he could be mid-div, he could be last after a furlong, he's going to face kickback. It's just going to be a totally alien experience for him. And it's been, watching Sky Sports this week has been brilliant, listening to all the American trainers talking about him. And I was really interested in Kenny McPeak's line. He said, I've seen Galileo's and I've seen Justify, and he looks more Galileo to me. But look, there's no doubt about it, he's good enough to win, but I just think you'd get better bets every day of the week. But it's something you'd be happy to be wrong about, isn't it?
Shots fired from the Americans over to Aidan O'Brien. Then looks more like a Galileo than a Justify. But it is a huge question, Sam, isn't it, that he's going to have to answer in terms of so many things. The kickback, how he's going to start, the trip, the surface. There's so many. So 7-4 general price. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I think, first of all, commending the fact that they're even trying it. I do think this is such an interesting subplot to the Breeders' Cup itself is obviously always a great event, but this has added definitely some notable interest, I think, just from a betting perspective, from a conversation perspective. For my money, I think Dec's probably closer to right in terms of my head over heart. My heart really wants to see him win. Like, endeavours like this deserve reward, but doesn't mean they're going to get it. I think you'll know your fate very early if you're a backer of him. I do think it's going to be all about that position he can get out from the front. Dirt is a completely different surface. I wouldn't watch too many dirt races, but I've gone back
Thanks
through...
for tuning into stateside. Cheers.
I mean, I say too many, Kate. I watch a lot of turf racing as well, I'd probably say. But it is a different code almost.
Yeah.
It feels like rugby league to rugby union would be the comparison I guess I'd make when I watch it. And you definitely want to be a specialist. Forever Young for me, I thought was just a really good each way bet, really, to try and fill the frame. I just like the fact, proven on the surface, the only time it was beaten was the Kentucky Derby, and that was a little bit contentious on that day as well.
Kentucky Derby.
Derby. There you go.
Well, it's an American show this week. You've got
it is, isn't it?
You've got to
All
go
the
with the flow.
colloquialisms need to be included.
Out a bit later, Jack. But I just felt like when I was looking from a betting perspective, that was probably where I'd have a small tentative bad each way bet. But I hope he does it. And like I say, if you think he will, that offer's there for you.
I'm with you on him. I just hope he gets out of the stalls better than he did in the Kentucky Derby, because that really, I think, there was two things that nailed him in that race. It was the slow start and then Sierra Leone hanging on him for half the stretch.
Yeah.
Like, if you were watching that race, you must have just been screaming to tell he get off my horse, please.
Dec drawn in one. Is that a good or a bad thing?
Well, it'll be a bad thing if he jumps like he jumped in the Derby, but we shall see.
I've just wanted to give you.
I'm gone full American here. I'm all in.
Yeah, but like he's about 11-2 then for the Japanese runner, so he is that kind of each way shot really in
And
this.
the other thing about this in terms of betting is if you really want to take on City of Troy, he is taking a fair chunk out of the market, so it does present itself as a good opportunity to back other horses.
And hopefully one of those will be Taffet Trice. It's a 40-1 shot in here. Now, anyone, apart from Sam, obviously, who is a regular stateside viewer, will know this is my #1 favourite American horse. Absolutely love him. Now, we're going to see him last time out. This was Belmont at the Big A, 28th of September. He won the Grade 2 Woodward Stakes here over 9 furlongs. It was a small run of field, and he was relatively dismissed in the betting. Now, one thing he does every single time, he's such a typical son of Tappet, he gets away painfully slowly from the gates every single run. But he's got this big race move down the backstretch before his stamina really kicks in the closing stages. And just look how game he is. He's so funny. He's got so much character. But you know what you're going to get from him every single time. He will get away slowly. He will hopefully have that backstretch run then, because if he doesn't fire and he doesn't find or pick up the pace in at that stage, you kind of know your fate with him. But if he does and he's on a going day, there's not many horses that will be seeing out the trip better than him in the end.
And Kate, we're giving you 4 places on the race. So if you think he can obviously make the frame at a big price, the each-way angle there for you.
And I did go back and watch the last 2 classics here at Del Mar. I think both were won by front runners that day, so it's probably not a track you can get too far behind on.
Yeah, and he's drawn in stall 10 as well, which is fine for him because, like I say, he will be painfully slow out of the gates. Just watch out for him. Oh, he's so cool. So, yeah, Taffet Trice then for me each way. But do let us know in the comments section below who you fancy for the Classic. Does City of Troy win or not? Right, we're going to move on to our next race now, the 901, the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Turf for the 3-year-olds and over a mile. 4 British and Irish dominate this market. They've won the last 4 renewals. Rebels Romance won this in 2022, but Sam, will he regain his crown?
Yeah, I think he will. I'm really keen on him here. I think looking through the betting, him and Emily Upjohn were very close for most of the week when we kind of opened on here. But this is a horse that's got more stamps in his passport than Judith Chalmers, and you've probably got to be my age or up to understand that joke. Loves globe trotting, obviously has achieved plenty to date, including obviously winning abroad in multiple places. The effort in Germany last time out, I think, was very fair considering the ground was good to soft that day. And yeah, maybe didn't beat too much, but certainly showed, I think, he's sort of recovered this year. You know, you go back through the form book, I felt like there was a few bits and pieces to suggest that he really is kind of back. I felt the third in the King George, what was that, a length off Blue Stocking, is a really strong piece of form. Obviously Goliath was an impressive winner that day. There's a lot to like about his chances, and I felt when it comes to handling the track, I don't think that's a question mark, whereas I think it probably is for Emily Upjohn. And I think maybe we've written her off a bit too soon this season because some of her efforts have actually probably been better. You can upgrade them, but I felt between the pair here, I was definitely leaning towards the boys in blue.
He's now a 6-year-old, isn't he? Rebels Romance, to try and regain his crown from a couple of years ago when it was staged at Keeneland. So trying to translate it to Del Mar, but at least he's shown that he can travel, Deck.
Has he what? I think he's won races in England, Dubai, Qatar, Germany. You know, America as well. You know, he's like
all the continents. Isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. He's like Dora the Explorer, this fella. Although I imagine Greta Thunberg's not really a fan. But yeah, he just loves travelling. It seems to really bring out the best in him, doesn't it? And the fact that he's kind of handled these American tracks before, I think, is such a big plus. To be fair to Emily Upjohn, given that she handled Epsom so well, you'd hope for a big horse that she'll get away with it. But there's probably just question marks about her. She hasn't been in the same kind of order this season. Maybe Luxembourg hasn't. And I haven't really been taken with how Emily Upjohn's been finishing out her races this year. And maybe the same with Luxembourg. So given Rebels Romance is, you know, he's a proper 12 furlong, firm ground, flat track horse, I think he's, you know, he's the one to beat. 11, you'd like a better draw. But to be fair to him, he's got decent gate speed and he's got very good early pace and he's tactically versatile. So I'm sure Bill Buick will work out a trip for him that will hopefully get him home. So yeah, really interesting race. But I'm with you. I'm with the boys in blue.
And he's getting his ground decks. All important, I think. You know, the quicker the better.
Yeah, when you look at his profile, I think what really helps him is flat tracks and quick ground, and he's going to get that here. And you know, I know there's probably a lot of question marks about him. Oh, is he a European kind of grade Group 1 horse? But I think he showed enough in the King George to warrant that he is, because he was too close to the pace that day. Blue Stock, I think he was 3 lengths in front of him, and that was the day, if you remember, they watered the track at Ascot the night before, which was just absolutely madness, and I think that affected him and it affected Gus Roden. So I'm hoping Rebels Romance continue his romantic story in this race.
I just love Greta Thunberg hates Rebels Romance. That is my line to take out of today's show for sure.
And Michael O'Leary, yeah.
I will leave you two then with Rebels Romance. I thought JRB was the horse at the price I wanted to side with in here. Now, of course, he is very talented, as we know. Hopefully he'll prove that again, because we're going to watch him back when he won at Longchamp on the 5th of October in the Group 2 Prix Dollar. And this was a really strong renewal as well. I mean, I was silly. I took him on in this, but he was still able to beat his elders and the other 3-year-olds in the race. Easier ground than he'd previously encountered as well. So he should be happier, you'd have thought, back on a sounder surface. And we know his trainer, Brian Meehan, he's won this race twice before. Red Rocks in 2006, Dangerous Midge in 2010. I guess the biggest concern for him is the fact he's trying a mile 4 for the first time ever here, but his pedigree suggests he should get it. And of course, that really good form behind Economics of his penultimate start as well. Now, I know Economics has got his own issues, but when he is on song, he is a supreme talent. So I still think he enhanced his profile by being beaten by him that day. So JRB for me at the prices in the Breeders' Cup Turf. You two both with...
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he handles the track, because I thought he hated Chester. Now, I know Del Mar is a bit of a galloping track, and the reason I know he hated Chester is because I had a good bet on him that day. So I was watching him very closely.
Like a hawk.
Yeah, and he just kept lugging out right. So this is a more galloping track, but if he handles it, I think he'll improve going up to 12. And Shawnee Levy doing the steering, who's had a great year.
And Kate, more good news. If you don't fancy any of the European horses, you're getting double digits about the rest, and we're 4 places on the race.
Again, 4 places on offer.
Yeah, they've gone place crazy. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, all of the extra incentives that have been given
It's
here.
all that biltong we gave the South African trader last week.
You finally sweetened him up now. Just wait for the boost prices, though. We'll wait to see how sweet you've kept him to this point. Right, next race then at Del Mar, the 11:45. This is the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Mile for the 3-year-olds and over. Funnily enough, over a mile in this one. And another one dominated by the European challengers. Charlie Appleby and William Björk have won their last 3 renewals. Master of the Seas last year, Modern Games in 2022, and Space Blues in 21. Notable speech favourite to make it 4 in a row, Deck.
Yeah, and I hope he can do it. I did have down in my notes that this is one of the best Breeders' Cup Breeders' Cup miles we've had in probably maybe the whole history of the race. It had unbelievable strength and depth. But just as we came in to do the show this morning, we've heard news that Remachuel is a non-runner, so she's out of the race, which is a real shame because she looked a massive player. But the Europeans still have a really strong hand here, don't they? Diego Velázquez, Portaventura and Notable Speech. And to be honest, I don't think there's an awful lot between those three, but I came down on Notable Speech because I just could see him travelling around here on wheels. I went back and watched his race. I actually forgot how strong a traveller he is. You know, he really does take Bill Buick everywhere in the race that he wants to go, and I think that was probably to his detriment when in the St James's Palace Stakes. He just did too much and he was probably a little bit too far out of his ground as well. And on top of that, he probably didn't fire on the day as well. I thought at the time really quick summer ground could have been what found him out, but he proved in the Sussex Stakes that he clearly handles that. And you just go back to that 2000 Guineas form, beating Rosalian and beating Hatem stiff. That is a really strong piece of form. And as Katie Tracey's already said, Charlie Appleby is going for his 4th Breeders' Cup mile in a row. So he clearly knows the type of horse to what it takes to win. And I can just see him travelling around here so easily and hopefully just having a little bit more class than Portaventura and Diego Velázquez.
Godolphin pyjamas for you. A bit worn tonight then, Sam. I was going to say you joining him, but that was a weird link to throw to you.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to wear a Godolphin blue-coloured suit, doesn't he, next week? I think he really has
far more.
I've still got a bit of Ballydoyle blood running through my veins.
I'd hope so. I'm going to take on the favourite here. Deck, I'm going to put it to you. Would you not be slightly concerned? What was this going to be? His 9th run of the year? Started off at Kempton, didn't he, back in January? Had a little bit of a break, but... Eighth run of the year.
We'll give him that one back.
We'll give him that one back. But he's been on the go a long time, a couple of little breaks in there. And my other question mark is I can forgive the run on Good to Soft in France. You know, that's
really messy race.
Yeah, I can forgive that. But would the Royal Ascot effort not really concern you, given he had a surface that day that he'd have enjoyed?
Yeah, I suppose any horse can have an off day, can't they? And I obviously went back and watched the replay. I forgot how strong he travelled. You know, even that stiff mile maybe might have found him out. You know, he's a horse. I looked at that race. If you were, you know, you could even see him being comfortable maybe over in a Haydock Sprint Cup, given how strongly he travels. But absolutely fair points you make about it being a long season. But I suppose what he does have on his side is a very good trainer.
A very good.
Very true. Indeed. But Portaventura, for me, it was the bet in the race here, Kate. I absolutely love this horse, and I know she needs to step up again. And I think probably you can question the form of the last couple of races she's won, but go back through her season, you know, brilliant in the 1,000 Guineas, albeit she didn't manage to win the race from El Manca, but definitely for me showed plenty of ability that day. I just really like her chances. Obviously, she has shown that she can travel. Finished 2nd last year, didn't she, when she went over to... where were we last year? I'm trying to think where we were.
Santa Anita.
It was Santa Anita last year. There's a lot to like. Her racing style should suit as well. I kind of don't want... You mentioned earlier, actually, Dec, kind of really want to be on the pace, don't you, at Del Mar? And that was one of the things, going back through her runs, she's more forward than she is back, and I think that will be helpful for her. I think there's more to come from her, and I get the sense that obviously this has been a plan for a while. She does need to take a step forward, but I thought around 4-1 when we still had the French horse in, she'll probably end up being, I think, 3-1, but I still think that's a fair price to take. Yeah,
that's the thing, isn't it? Is that literally, as soon as we walked in here, we got the news through that Remachuel had definitely been scratched then. So we were waiting for our prices to readjust, and they are still just calibrating at this stage. But I still think 3-1 about Portaventura.
Yeah, that's the kind of price I'd be expecting. And like I say, I just feel like there's more to come from her. And, you know, if I'm going to crib deck selection, I just think there's a few chinks in the armour.
Yeah, I do too. So I'm with her as well. Portaventura too.
All right, calm down.
Hey, you two agreed in the last race, and I had to take you on, so it's about time I got some agreement somewhere. And I feel with Portaventura, we have almost damned her with faint praise, because everyone said, oh, she's so small, but she's so tough and she's so hardy. She might actually just be really good. And she is just very talented. Her last 3 wins, like you say, some of the form for all it was Group 1 company might be slightly suspect up to that level, but she can only beat what's presented in front of her. Good opportunity she was able to claim. And we talk about her size and how she is physically, and that should really suit Del Mar. Like I say, if she is forwardly placed then as well, even better for her. And as you say, we know she can travel. She finished 2nd in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf at Santa Anita last year, beating just half a length. So We know that these American races see her to good effect, and the fact that she comes here in winning form as well, then I would chance her to take on the boys too. So we're in agreement with
I'm really glad the two of you have been keen on her, because I think of all the kind of Group 1 winners we've had this year, I think she's probably the most kind of unforgotten and who hasn't got the respect. Since that Guineas run, where she was maybe a little bit unlucky, she's been dynamite. So, yeah, good on you, but I'm still going for no speech.
And she's getting all the allowances as well, 3-year-old filly then in here too. So loads hopefully in her favour. Again, do let us know who you fancy in the comments section below. Now, lads, in terms of any other Breeders' Cup bets, Dec, I'm going to go to you first, because of course we've got a million races to go at. So what took your eye?
Yeah, I'm really interested. The best value bet of the whole Breeders' Cup for me runs in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, and it's going to be Starlust for Rafe Beckett and Rossa Ryan. I cannot get why she's 20-25 to 1, or why he is 20-25 to 1. It makes no sense. He was just behind Bradsell in the Nunthorpe Stakes. Now, fair enough, Bradsell, he was a very authoritative winner on the day. You know, he carried Holly Doyle deep into the race, hard on the bridle, and he won really well. But Starlust ran a cracker at the Breeders' Cup last year behind Big Evs in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. I'm trying to get all these names remembered. It's an absolute
a lot of
pain.
words in these titles.
But I thought he handled the track really well, and I went back and watched the race again the other day. He broke well, got away well, and he was kind of reined back by Frankie Dettori rode him. And Frankie made a bit of a big mid-race move to get into mid-div, but then the minute he did that, he ran into traffic and had to pull back, and the race just wasn't smooth. But I loved how he handled the bend, and he quickened up, and he ran on really well. Now, on the day, he didn't look like he was going to get anywhere near Big Evs, and Big Evs won well. And Big Evs is obviously in the race again, going to be ridden by Tom Marquand. Holly Doyle is going to ride Bradsell, but the two of those have got wide draws. So look, I'm hoping Tommy Marquand and Holly Doyle have a bit of a domestic out wide here. I'm hoping they're just baiting lumps out of each other. Coburn, the favourite, is also drawn wide. Yeah. He's going to be ridden by Irad Ortiz. I'm hoping Irad's going to have an interjection and go, lads, what are you doing here? We're live on TV. You can't be having a domestic. Meanwhile, Rossa Ryan is slipping down the inside. And, you know, he's going to have that Gus Road and Ryan Moore kind of trip. If that plays out, that's how I'm seeing the race. If that plays out how I think it will, 20 to 1 is a big, big price.
We've got a whole soap opera going on here. Yeah. Who needs the actual races themselves? We've got a whole drama of our own.
Stay out wide there, bait lumps out of each other, and just let Rossa down the rail.
more Dallas than Del Mar, that.
Hey, nicely done. Yeah, so can't wait to see that unfold. Right, Sam, you've got to match that now. What soap opera are we going with for you?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm still getting stuck into it, and I will plug your microsite again, Dec, not just because we sponsor it. It is really handy because I'd be a very casual viewer, Kate, as you've already chastised me for. I tuned in for the
Rightly so.
side, but I was quite intrigued by Torpedo Anna's price. Trying to get that horse beat is going to be quite hard. 4 to 7, be one of the bankers of the meeting that people have in their ACCAs. But I'd love to see the Japanese horse Awesome Result outrun the price there at 5 to 1. I thought she could be interesting, but there's a whole host of races to get stuck into. We're paying extra places, so yeah, I'll certainly be having a good watch through. I do love the coverage as well. I think the Americans certainly do this very, very well.
Oh, they put on a bit of pizzazz and show, don't they? Love it every single year.
I always feel like we do stories over here and we drag the absolute backside out of it, but over there they do, and it just seems to work. So
yeah, they can get away with it completely. We haven't quite got the personalities I feel in this country to be able to do it. But so I did a preview actually with our very own Peter Fornatal on Monday on his YouTube show, and we covered the filly and mare turf in this, and it looked wide open at the time. And of course, Emily Upjohn at that point was still in the betting, but we know that she's not taking on the girls in this. So we went through it all, and so I went through every single runner that was even for the final decks then. And the one who represented the value for me is Moira. Now, Moira is an absolute star. Now, I know that she's been turned over as favourite. It's a very short price favourite on a fair few occasions, but that's because she is always sent off as a short price favourite. Now, we're going to look back at her when she finished second at Woodbine on her last start. This was in the Grade 1 EP Taylor, and this was actually a really good run from her because the winner of this got completely loose on the lead, and I don't think that this filly's going to be able to do it this time round. But Moira, to her credit, still ran her down all the way to the line, but it was just a really weird race race, though, but she still remains fairly lightly raced for her age. She's only, well, she is a 5-year-old mare, but she remains very lightly raced. And as I say, Full Count Felicia, who we were just seeing there, made all to win, may well reoppose. So it was form that was tricky to weigh up. But then even without that runaway winner, you had the likes of Fev Rover, who we all know from over here, Blush, Blue Rose Sen, who were all in behind, and we know how talented those fillies were. Now, Cinderella's Dream, who is favourite for the race, was a non in that, but the lineup still looked strong as anything on paper, so Moira came out of it, loads of credit. She was third in this race last year when Inspiral and Warm Heart beat her. I don't think we have that calibre of filly in this time around.
Yeah,
so
it looks a really weak race, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I actually can't believe Emily Upjohn wasn't running here, but in some ways, like she would have been a heavy favourite if she ran here. But I suppose fair play to the Gostons and Connections, they wanted to go for the big one, but we'll see how it works out. But this looks like a really weak race to me.
And it's up to a mile 3 as well this time around, which I know on paper it may not suit Moira, but she'd have every chance just to do what she did last year. So each way then for me. Right, that is everything from Del Mar wrapped up. Again, do let us know any of your thoughts or selections, opinions, tips, anything then in the comments section below. We're going to bring things a little bit closer to home though. Back to Ascot for the 3:45. The Sodexo Live Gold Cup Handicap Chase Premier Handicap. It's got an exclamation mark. You kind of need to say it, don't you? 4-year-olds and over 3 miles. So back to the jumps. Also live on Sky Sports Racing, though, and ultimate winner Chianti Classico is making a seasonal reappearance. Our Power won this 2 years ago. Sam, who do you like?
Yeah, the favourites should be very well respected here, but is a short enough price in a competitive race. You go back through the years, Kim Bailey's obviously won it with Vindication. Regal Encore won it. I swear he was about 16 years old when he won it. But you've got to go back to 2009 for the last Irish-trained winner, which came with Owen Griffin's horse. But actually, not that many have tried it. I went back through the last 3 years. Gavin Cromwell had a runner in it last year. That was about it. And I think it's really interesting that Henry de Bromhead, obviously fresh off the back of a good 1-2 at Cheltenham last week. His horse arrives here, I'm right, and I think will absolutely relish the ground conditions. Henry's ticking over really nicely. He had a good double in the week at Wexford. He's running at a 30% strike rate, but the better ground is going to be key for this horse. Last time I think we saw him was taken off his feet in that Flooring Porter win at Listowel, which was just a bit of a ridiculous kind of race. Absolutely, you know, you can put a line through that quite happily. You go back through his form on good to yielding or better. Loads of really good results. 5th in the 365 at Sandown, which I think is a really fair race. 9th in the Galway Plate on good ground, but that was a strong race as well. I just feel like he's had the warm up with that effort where he wouldn't have put too much into the race behind Flooring Porter because it was just such a strange race. Been busy enough over the early part of the summer on good ground. He's quite lightly raced. Mikey O'Connor takes 3 off. I thought if I was trying to find an angle in to beat the favourite, he was about 8-1 when I was looking. That'll do me each way.
Quite a good angle. Irish horses running in Britain.
Yeah, that is actually just saying that we could have just wrapped up a preview there at that point, to be fair. We saw it last weekend, and perhaps it will continue then into Ascot this weekend for some.
Yeah, we probably should say that, you know, we wanted to do more of the jump stuff, you know, Wetherby, Down Royal, Ascot as well, but there's just so much on this weekend, we didn't know where to go. But hopefully there'll be a few winners for people in the show. But I'm with High Stakes Player in this race, a horse down the bottom of the handicap for Tom Lacey and Stan Shepherd, and it's kind of part of the reason we were doing more of the Breeders' Cup is because we don't know how really quick the ground's going to be at Wetherby or Ascot, and we thought the fields could suffer, and I just hope this fella handles the ground. To be fair, he should do but there's quite a few horses in here. I wouldn't be surprised if the ground was quicker than ideal. What I do like about this horse is he is a very good jumper. He is really professional as well. He'll carry Stan Shepherd through the race easily, and he'll pop away there very nicely. And, you know, he just could maybe have a little bit more toe getting away off the likes of Chianti Classico, who looks maybe like a potential national horse in the making. So you maybe would have thought he wants kind of softer ground. But again, it's just that stage of the jump season where we're guessing. But I do like this lad. He's very professional. He did miss time a couple of seasons ago. He's clearly had issues, but he got a fairer crack at things last year, and he did manage to win 2 races. So he's got a good record fresh as well. He's by Okavango. Just hoping he's fit enough, because the stiff enough test around Ascot under just 3 miles, I think is maybe as far as he'd want to go. But if he's ready to rock, I think he'd go well at a big price.
Yeah.
Well, a decent price, not a big price.
Yeah, competitive race, about 10 to
Yeah.
1 then for him as well. Like I say, he's had his hold-ups in his career, but the abilities there are the same. I'm going to be way less original than you two. That's the goal for me. I've loved it. I've ridden this horse. So after his second bumper start when he won it, and then before he had the hold-up, before he came back in Aintree, he's really bouncy. he's great.
I love
He's
his
a
head
bonny
carriage.
horse. Oh, he's so cool. He's just, and he really does. They thought the world of him back then. That's why, kind of when people said, "Oh, are you actually riding him?" He's go, "God, he's a right horse." He is. I was probably a bit ignorant at the time. Made sure I took a photo at that point so I could hark back to it, and I'm continuing to do so. But yeah, we're looking back at him, and he's got this course and distance win to his name in a Novices Limited handicap chase last season. Now, this is off of a mark of 141. He's now a 152 horse, which I think is very fair after winning the Ultimate at the Cheltenham Festival. Now, that was off of a mark of 143. So similar effort to that today. On the RPR, he posted that was a career best from him. Then it should go some way to proving that this mark is very feasible. He's got a cracking record, fresh. Kim Bailey has been winning with everything first time out this season as well. And it makes sense why he's got a cracking record, fresh, because as I say, he's a bonny little horse. He gives so much at home, and going fresh, I'd say, was when you'd see him at his best. So I'm hoping he can give away the weight because he is highly weighted for not a massive size of a horse, but I just think he's a class above these.
Yeah, he's that second season kind of chaser coming through as well as he. Yeah, he's got a nice profile. I do like him. I've got a real soft spot for him. I just love how he carries his head. He's like, let me at him, let me at him. I'm ready to go. He kind of has that really kind of good vibe about him.
He's so cool. Yeah, no, he really is. So I'm hoping that we'll get to see the best of him, but differing opinions there, such as for jump season, such as that race at Ascot. Again, do let us know who you fancy for that Ascot contest in the comments section below. Time for us to head over to the Skypad, though, for our best bets of the weekend. Right, best bets of the weekend time. Now make sure to head to the website or use the QR code to take advantage of the boost, because the naps are going to be boosted again this week. Deck, who are we boosting for you?
We are going to boost the wonderfully named Willie the Builder, who runs at Weatherby for the Skelton. So although we did a lot of Breeders' Cup prep today, I think the best bet goes at Weatherby. Really like this horse. He's still quite a young horse for the Skeltons, who are just in really good form already. There's a little bit of pace in the race. It's not a big field, but I think the pace will help him because, one, he's quite a strong traveller, but two, as well, he's such a good jumper. I can just see him carrying Harry Skelton everywhere in the race, and I do think you need those kind of horses at Weatherby now. If you don't travel around Weatherby, you are really in trouble. So he will do for me. The next best on the long shot we've already discussed. The next best is going to be Rebels Romance, the globe-trotting Rebels Romance, who I hope can add to his Breeders' Cup turf win of 2 seasons ago. He's just been in good form. He's a 6-year-old, but the fact that he's already won around tracks like this, I think, is such a big plus for him as well. And although he's drawn wide, he's got good gate speed, he's tactically versatile, and Bill Buick is doing this year, and so he's not lacking there. And then the long shot is good old Starlust, who I made a case for earlier in the show. I just think the draw for Ross Orion could be massive here, with Brad Sell out wide, Big Ebbs out wide, and the American horse Coburn kind of middle to wide. So hoping the 3 of those, getting a little bit of a Barney out wide, and Ross can slip down the rail and go and win it around 20-25 to 1. So yeah, those are the 3 for me this weekend.
I'm just really looking forward to this drama unfolding now. I'm just going to have all of your thoughts going through my head watching that race. Right.
Well, I think I'm probably a bit of wishful thinking about a horse at a big price, but we'll see.
No, it's a good shout and good case made all the same. Sam?
Yes, I'm going to head to where the surf meets the turf for mine. Now, fingers crossed, back-to-back winners. Portaventura for me. I'm really excited to see what she can do. She has got to take that step forward, but as we've alluded to in the show, I think she's only had to be able to beat what's in front of her. Kate, you agree with me. There's so much to like about her chances, and I just think we're going to get a great price because of the fact we've got a favourite in there that's bound to be popular as well, and understandably so, but I think she'll get the better of him. My next best, we're going to go to Ascot, and I was having a little look at the jumps card there. This was a stat I think I wheeled out last year on the show. Check out these 2 November meetings. Johnny Delahaye runners at Ascot generally.
Yes, he did.
If you back them blind to a pound stake, £29 profit. It seems to be a track they love to target. They've got a number of runners. People are going to question Paul Nicholls' form. I think Paul will come into form about now. I really wouldn't be too alarmed. He's still running at a 15% strike rate, which is probably a little bit below what we expect. But it's a big weekend for Paul. Obviously, a lot of big-name horses out. They've got a number of runners, but it was Samarive for me that I was really interested in. off a year, but definitely looks like it's found a fantastic piece of placement from the race planners there, whether that's Paul or someone else in his team. I think that's a great opportunity to get at least one on a board for owners that absolutely love to have winners at Ascot. Talented horse, more to come. Obviously, probably had a setback last year, but I definitely think, based on what we've seen over hurdles, that can transform that and kind of be really competitive there. Then finally, I can't believe we've got a Willie Mullins horse that we've not managed to talk about, Uncle Phil, on Saturday. Yeah, we've already seen a little bit of support for this, so it sort of caught my eye. Double-digit price. I don't think the horse is particularly well handicapped, but then I kind of thought Paul Townend could have had a couple of rides at Down Royal. He comes over for the ride. The better ground as well will be really key for his chances, which we're going to get at Ascot. And I just think you ignore these Willie Mullins runners at your peril. And I thought, when I'm looking for a long shot in a competitive handicap, that's what I thought I wanted to be with each way.
I knew you were going to go there as soon as you said that. Well, I don't even know what
he just has a very simple method, just back Irish national hunt horses in Britain. And to be fair, it works.
Fair enough one. Yeah, I was going to say we can't even crib him for it. Fair enough then. Now we talk about Paul Nicholls' form. My nap is actually trained by Paul Nicholls as well. Now he is towards the head of the market, but I think he's a very fair price. Brave Man's Game in one of the other feature races of the weekend, the Grade 2 Charlie Hall Chase over the 3 miles. And again, we say about his form, it's not as though it's fallen off the face of a cliff, but it's just not exactly where we expect from their usual lofty standards. But when you look at the really top-notch Saturday horses, they seem to be a law unto their own. They don't seem to fit the general metrics of stable form. And I think that Brave Man's Game, being the stable star that he is going to be ready for his life for this. Now, Grey Dawning, he may not even run if the ground is too quick at Wetherby. And this might just tee, if it does run, he's going to tee him up for the Betfair Chase. And we know that Dan Skelton said that anyway, that's where he's going to go. Even if he did run, he's got to give £3 to Brave Man's Game. He's still got £9 to find with him on official ratings. I know Brave Man's Game hasn't won for a while, but this is just a perfect opportunity with ground to suit him in this year's Charlie Hall. Now, my next best bet is going to be Moira, who I spoke about earlier on in the Breeders' Cup filly and mare turf for all of the aforementioned reasons. Third, admittedly over 10 furlongs at Santa Anita last year, but she can be forgiven for not winning last time out and emerging with plenty of credit all the same. And my long shot actually goes in the same race. Now, this is Anisette at a big price. Now, she finished in front of the reopposing Didier last time in the Grade 2 John C. Maybe at Del Mar, beating her 1.5 lengths, just 3/4 of a length off the winner herself to finish third behind Hang the Moon. But we know how good she is at Del Mar because 3 of her 4 starts at the track she's won, which counts for plenty at somewhere like Del Mar. And she's also got no issue at this level as well, winning 3 Grade 1s, 1 at Del Mar, 2 at Santa Anita, ran another solid race last time out, and she could easily be taking an unbeaten Del Mar record into this race. So don't dismiss her at a big price. And again, just as a reminder to head to the website there to take advantage of our naps being boosted. Right, that is everything from us on this week's show. It's been a bit of a blockbuster. We've covered everything in it. But yeah, we can't wait though for the weekend action to kick off. Hopefully you all enjoy it. Big thank you to the lads for all of their help, and we'll be back at the same time next Friday to preview the best of the weekend action.